Welcome to episode 313 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. Joining me in a moment are Daniel Rueda, CEO at Open Pricer, and Jonathan Bouaziz, the CEO and co-founder at Kardinal. They're going to talk about the new Open Pricer Kardinal partnership and what it means for things like parcel pricing, last mile delivery, revenue, route optimisation, and much more. So coming up in just a moment, Daniel Rueda from Open Pricer and Jonathan Bouaziz from Kardinal. Joining me on the line are Daniel Rueda, he's a CEO at Open Pricer, and Jonathan Bouaziz, who is co-founder and CEO at Kardinal. And we're going to talk about, well, a new partnership. Why don't I hand it over to you first of all, Jonathan, to tell us a bit about what is this new partnership between Kardinal and Open Pricer?
Thank you, Ian Kerr, for receiving us. First, I'd like to highlight something on the market is that a few years ago, since the COVID, and we've seen that the growth of the e-commerce volume has skyrocketed, and so parcel delivery players, postal operators started to invest drastically in new infrastructure, and so they made a lot of investment. And in the last few months, we've seen, a decrease in the volume, and so there is before there was a focus on the revenue. Everyone was focused on having the best revenue possible, but now we see that this focus has changed to be more focused on the margin. And so this is why it was totally, I would say, a match between the Open Pricer solution and Kardinal, because we are complementary solutions.
And Daniel, what about from your perspective? What's this new partnership and why this partnership, as I said before?
Yes, I think we are complementary. Kardinal is more working today on the cost side with operations. And Open Pricer is more working on the revenue side with sales. So both of us are providing two different solutions. And by talking together, we realize that we can, by exchanging the data of each platform, we can provide even superior value to our customers. That's the objective of this partnership.
And it's a really salient point right now to be talking about profitability, basically, instead of just trying to get the parcels in and dealing with the parcels. We're in a situation where, well, maybe we shouldn't delve into the macroeconomic conditions too much. We'll distract ourselves from the core content we want to discuss today. How can you enhance your respective solutions thanks to this partnership?
I think that, just like Daniel mentioned, we are focused on optimizing the cost, reducing the cost, trying to find the best pricing for the subcontractors to find the best, not too much. Otherwise, they will you will lose your margin, or not less because you will lose your subcontractor. So it's kind of a mix. And on the other side, you have Open Pricer optimizing the revenue. I think that just like Daniel mentioned, we need to optimize the margin, and you need to have this global view. And so by displaying the pricing, I would say the real price for the retailer, and the cost applied with the subcontractors, it will allow to have a more fine-tuned approach with the margin, not having a margin on a depot level or even on a global, I would say on a country level, but even on a zip code level or even on a neighborhood level. So it will drastically change the way CFOs, depot managers, operations will interact with their customers and subcontractors.
And Daniel, what about from your side? How do you think the Open Pricer solution will be enhanced thanks to this partnership?
Yes, to take a simple example, as Jonathan mentioned before, the costs of delivery are modeled in a pricing tool, usually by country, or at the thinnest level by delivery depot. And but in reality, the costs are depending on other variables, like, for instance, the zip code. You may have different costs per zip code. It also depends on the day of week, because we have some tools that are full some days of week and empty other days of weeks. And all this data that allows to improve the modeling of cost are available in the Kardinal platform. So the idea is to take this information and to use it for price setting in the Open Pricer platform.
And Daniel, just continuing this then, can you share some examples of how the Kardinal data will enable Open Pricer to improve its price calculations?
Yes, if you take the delivery cost represent the most important part of the cost of a parcel operator. Usually, it's above 50%, so it's a substantial part of the cost. So, if you improve the modeling of this cost, you can improve the accuracy of the price calculation, and that's the objective of the platform. To take some use cases. So the first one, I'll take an example of a large retailer, for instance. So let's imagine a carrier wants to make a pricing for a large retailer. So usually the way it's handled by sales team is that they collect from the retailer a file containing a sample of all the shipments sent during a period of time. So each line will represent one shipment, and you will have details like the date of shipment and the delivery zip code. And this file usually will be, thanks to the data of Kardinal, we'll be able to match this data with the cost, the tour capacity utilization that may vary by day of week coming from the Kardinal system. So this will allow us to make a very sharp calculation of the cost of delivery and really calculate an incremental cost that can improve pricing definition. So that's a first example. A second one is the same example, but for an existing customer that you want to re-rate after a period of time. So in this case, the shipping data with all the details of zip code and date of delivery is already in our platform. So we can match this data against the data provided by Kardinal and also get a much more precise calculation of cost. And then once we have the cost, we can calculate the price. A third example is the case of what we are currently designing a system for e-commerce platforms that we call dynamic pricing. And this offer will be able to provide at checkout some dynamic rates that may vary depending on the zip code of the customer and the date of delivery. So here again, by using the data from Kardinal, we can build some incentives for the shopper to provide better prices when there are some possibilities of low capacity utilization on some tours, and also to propose the best day of week for which you may have the best price.
I mean, that's really quite exciting in a delivery nerd kind of way, I suppose, being able to offer that kind of dynamic pricing at checkout and to be able to even get finer granularity, I suppose, is another word for that pricing when you're going to talk to the retailers. But Jonathan, let's look at it from the Kardinal perspective. And how can Open Pricer data help Kardinal manage delivery ops and relationships with subcontractors and things like that?
Yes, so for Kardinal, it will have a huge value because Open Pricer will provide Kardinal with net prices and costs allocated to each parcel. So by combining, the knowledge of Kardinal and the information of Open Pricer, we have identified two use cases. The first one is Open Pricer data will allow us to calculate a new KPI called tour profitability, that will provide to our operation team using Kardinal, and so it will be a valuable insight to plan resources, negotiate with subcontractors, and to have this tour profitability is how profitable is your tour compared to your last mile cost, and so it has a huge impact. And the other one is in the case of delivery outsourcing at variable cost, dynamic pricing can play a major role in avoiding to go, beyond two thresholds. The first one is, the threshold below with the carrier risk losing its subcontractor due to a low remuneration, and we know how driver shortage, is a strong pain point in the world today. And the second threshold is, this the threshold above which prices are too high and must be renegotiated with or the quality, may arise due to capacity overflow. And by using, their networks more efficiently, thanks to dynamic pricing, carriers can better manage capacity, reduce operating cost, increase also eco performance. So at the end, it's a win-win for Open Pricer customers and Kardinal customers.
And this, what we're talking about here, is really a hot topic in the postal and delivery world. When you talk about profitability of individual routes or individual rounds and things like that. I mean, it's super hot stuff in the delivery world right now. But again, less of the editorializing from me, more questions perhaps. Jonathan, staying with you for a moment, what will be the main benefits for your customers?
For our customers, just to highlight that our customers, we won't share, export, transfer any data from our customers to Open Pricer without the specific consent, of our customers. For our customers, when we have common customers, I would say, we'll be able to display the pricing per parcel. And by having the profitability, it will allow top managers, CFOs, defining where they need to put more resources, where they need to increase the sales activity, to display more information, where are the top depot, the worst depot, and to have a more data-driven discussions with their management.
And Daniel, what about from Open Pricer's perspective? What were the main benefits for your customers?
Yes, from my perspective, as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, there is a very high volatility today in this market, and things are changing very quickly. So I think due to this fact, pricing should be more dynamic, and we should consider more data, more granularity, and being able to update the models more quickly. I think this should be a very powerful tools for carriers to be able to restore margin, to improve margins, and they need really to have more granular data and to update their pricing models more often. So I think here is the key point for me.
Now, I suppose the next question has to be about how. How are you going to present the new partnership, the new offer? Will it be something you go out together or separately? What's going to happen there, Daniel?
Each company will present its offer separately because we are selling two different systems. But when we get to a customer, we will talk about this option to enlarge, to upgrade our offer with the other partner. That's what we have already done with several carriers. So we introduce Kardinal, and we explain the benefits of working together with Kardinal. And I think for you, Jonathan, it will be perhaps the same approach.
Exactly the same. I think that today carriers are focusing only on the EBITDA. Before they were focusing on reducing the cost, improving the revenue, and have this completely different approach. And they have dedicated team, and at the end, it was all about defining the EBITDA afterwards. I think that now that the combination of the two solutions will allow customers to have more data-driven decisions and have this global view of the activity with a more fine-tuned approach depending on the geographical areas.
We've discussed, really, as I said before, some hot topics like profitability, margins, and efficiencies and things like that. Daniel, almost every company these days is looking at things from an environmental perspective as well. Is there an emissions or an environmental angle on this?
I think that definitively yes, because when we talk with between us, we realize that Kardinal was able to provide the capacity utilization of a delivery tool, okay? Which means that given this information, we can really push traffic to the days of week, to the tools that have a low capacity utilization. And at the end, it means improving capacity utilization, improving the effectiveness of the network, and being able to reduce emissions.
I mean, it's some simple stuff, really, isn't it? It's like reducing the number of half-empty vans. on the road, and reducing the number of times you have to go back to base or go back to the depot to top up as well, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But the key point is that you need to measure capacity utilization, and this is what the Kardinal platform will help us to do. Because without this signal of, okay, this is the capacity utilization on this day of week on this zip code, we cannot implement dynamic pricing strategies that are efficient for the last mile.
We are working on a lot of sustainability topics, and what the Kardinal platform and how they are using it is to say and to make some assumption regarding, what will be the impact, and to have this like A/B testing, or how do you say? I would say some hypothesis. For example, if they want to move the whole fleet on the electric side, what will be the impact on the cost? And so by providing a lot of I would say simulations in order to understand what will be the impact on the cost and so on the pricing, and if it's really sustainable, not sustainable in the term of the CO2 emission, but sustainable in term of price possibilities. So it's something that we are doing already with multiple actors by defining what will be the impact on moving the fleet from thermic to electric, cargo bikes on specific areas. And so it's something that we can already do on the platform. So I think you would be able to leverage it in the pricing if they want to make some assumption in the next 1-2 years, for example.
Yes, I think that there are two components. So one component is to move to electric vehicles. Okay, that's and of course it changed the cost equation. But independently of that, with the current vehicles, there is an effect of increasing capacity utilization. So I think on these two dimensions, we can have a positive role.
Daniel, Jonathan, this is fascinating stuff. I know the three of us have talked about data in the past, and now bringing all this together, it's sort of rendering even more powerful the insights that your collective data can provide to the delivery sector. Daniel, for people who want to find out more about Open Pricer and what you do, what should they do? Who should they contact?
Okay, so if you want to contact us, you can go to the website openpricer.com, and we'll get back to you. I wanted to remind that Open Pricer is proposing a platform that helps sales teams to optimize prices and to sell at the best possible conditions in order to improve a conversion and get the maximum possible profitability from each deal.
And Jonathan, how can people get in contact with Kardinal?
You can visit our website and contact us on kardinal.ai, kardinal.ai. Contact us in order to have more information on our offer.
And I understand you're all going to be at Parcel and Post Expo, I should say, later this year.
Exactly. We'll be able to share and to present what our current our offer will look like, and how our customers will be able to leverage it.
That's Parcel and Post Expo, which is being held in Amsterdam this year, 24th to the 26th of October. So you'll be able to catch up with the Kardinal and the Open Pricer teams there to talk more about what they do individually and what they're doing collectively now. Daniel Rueda, CEO at Open Pricer, and Jonathan Bouaziz, CEO and co-founder at Kardinal. Thank you very much for joining us on the Postal Hub podcast today.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Coming soon on the Postal Hub podcast, Helene Boulder-Rai returns to talk about urban warehouses and being a good neighbour. An interesting concept indeed. Make sure you don't miss this episode, that episode, or any episode of that matter coming up on the Postal Hub podcast. Subscribe to the Postal Hub on your favourite podcast platform like Spotify or Google Podcast or Apple Podcast. Leave a review. Give it a rating, 5 out of 5, and a little comment that says it's wonderful or something about insights or value, things like that. That'd be great. Please leave a review. It helps. It really does. It really does help. I know I'm being flippant about it all, but if you did just take a moment to do it, I'd really appreciate it. It really does help keep this thing going. If you want to follow me, I'm on LinkedIn. So just go to LinkedIn, look for Ian Kerr, and the one that looks like me. looks like speaks with this voice. I don't know. You'll find me over there anyway. Follow me. You can also subscribe to my various email newsletters at thepostalhub.com. postalhub.com. So go over there and you'll find the Daily Delivery Digest, my weekly newsletter that goes out with every episode of the podcast, decarbonising delivery, and various other bits and pieces. If you want to contact me about anything at all, email me, ian@thepostalhub.com. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.